morning, everybody. My name is Frances Castaneda-Dice, and I'm president of the East End Chamber of Commerce. And thank you and welcome to our COVID-19 business webinar. Today is August 4th, and we're very honored to have Soledad Tanner, founder and CEO of STC Consulting, back again to talk to us about cash is king. She is going to be giving us some very important practical tips to improve our cash flow. Today's conversation is very, very critical because of the pandemic that we're in, the situation that all of us are in. So please make sure that you take notes, that you ask questions at the bottom in the Q&A section, and share this with your friends. We'll be able to post this on our website afterwards. So if there's anyone that you think would want to get more tips like this, make sure that you send them to our website to review it. And then also follow Soledad so you can get practical tips ongoing and make sure that you stay informed on how to improve your cash flow and things of that nature. So without further ado, Soledad, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back. And I am excited to talk about this topic because it's something that a lot of people have been asking lately. And especially with the PPP and the money and how to manage it well, the best that they can. To start, a little bit of my background, I have been in finance for the last 30 years. And I hold a master from the University of St. Thomas here in Houston. That's the reason I am in Houston. And further went to Rice for additional education. And I am the board trustee for International Entertainment Partnership, part of the finance committee for the Houston Entertainment Industry Task Force, finance director for Business Angel Minority Association, BAMA, and also the CFO for two nonprofit organizations, Power on Hills and Beautiful Purpose. I have literally been doing finance since I was born. I love it. So I hope you enjoy it and you learn some practical tips, take some notes, and at the end of the day, at the end of the conference, you will be able to ask some practical questions. So I want to give you an analogy for you. Think of a bucket of water and think of just opening the faucet and water is coming into this bucket and it's full. And think also that this bucket has some holes. So if you imagine that your business is a bucket of water, and if you imagine that there are unnoticeable holes in this bucket, this is the cash flow, how we lose money. Slowly but surely, we will be losing money through these holes. This might sound like a very basic analogy to you, but this is exactly what happens with many, many small businesses every single day. Lots of small mistakes that build on top of each other, and you can have your water or your cash flow completely depleted. So what do we do so that doesn't happen to us? So I would like to start with the difference between cash and profit. And this is something that people ask me all the time. If you are profitable, then that means that you have cash. Not necessarily. So let's talk about concept number one. Cash is the amount of money that you have in the bank, period. You have to have it in, that's just the liquidity. So that's the second concept. What is liquidity? The cash represents the liquidity of your business. It's like how liquid, think of water, right? And profit include sales and the expenses that you have made, but not necessarily you have been paid. So imagine a cup of coffee. I always use that example that you sell it for $1 and all the cost of sales, the water, the sugar, the coffee beans are 50 cents, right? You can have the product being delivered to a customer, but you could very well not have paid yet the vendors, and maybe you may have not collected the revenue for this cup of coffee because your client has an account with you and will be paying you in 30 days. So there is a probability that you have profit for 50 cents, but not necessarily that means that you have cash or liquidity in the bank. So let's keep these two concepts separate in order to learn how to improve our cash. So what is the key? The key to managing cash flow is, what do you think? Is to ensure that cash comes in faster than goes out. That is the secret. If there's one thing that we remember here, is that we need the cash to come into our account faster than we pay them. So let's talk about a very typical case. So we have a product, let's say we sell water, and we have the production and we go out to the market and we sell them. But we have 10 employees at the office and we have to pay the employees every other Friday, regardless of when we're collecting the money for the water that we have sold. So if you give 60 days payment terms, you still have to have enough cash now to pay for the payroll that happens every 2 weeks. So keep this in mind as you're thinking of the money and also the timing. I always like to think of cash flow with a calendar in front of me, because it's not good if you have to pay something at the end of the month, let's say the mortgage and the rent. If the payment for your sales comes 2 or 3 months later, because even if it's bigger than the amount of money that you have to pay at the end of this month, they have to be a match between the timing and the amounts. So this is another way to look at the cash flow. Money in or into, look at the basket, the paper basket with all the dollars in. So money in, how do you fill that basket? You fill it with accounts receivable or collection. So you have a product, you sell it, you invoice it, and then you collect the money, and the money comes into your bank, your office. And money out is accounts payables, is what you pay your vendors. In the example of the cup of coffee, is you pay the people that supply you with the coffee beans, the water, the sugar, the napkins, etc., right? And the cash flow is the difference between, if in the example of the cup of coffee, you sell it for 1, you pay 50 cents, you are left with 50 cents. But all companies need to think from the profit point of view, but also from the cash point of view. Not only what is the margin of how much profit we're going to make, but also when the money is going to come in, so I have enough to pay my vendors. So now this is I'm going to give you 10 tips to improve the cash flow. Now, not necessarily all of them will apply to your company or your case, and it may happen that some of them you're already doing it. So write down anything that you think can help you improve your cash flow. So number 1, let's just start with this. Send out your invoices immediately. So if you produce a service and you finish today, send the invoice today if you can. Don't wait until the 30th of every month. So imagine today is the 4th, and I still see companies that wait until the very last week of the month to issue the invoices, because they have somebody who comes at the end of the month and to bill for the whole month. So if you deliver the service today on the 4th and you're just going to invoice them on the 30th, you have lost all these 4 weeks. And the client, if the client is on a 30 days payment terms, that means that the client will pay you by the end of September or the beginning of October. So you're delaying the income into your bank. So send out invoices immediately. Bill your services now. Number 2, increase the pricing of products and services. So let's talk about this. So your pricing has to be competitive. And right now, people are measuring more than ever what they buy and how they buy it and when they buy it. But look at your offering. Make sure you're offering something of value, or add additional value into the offering that you have. So then maybe you can increase the pricing. So for example, if you have a restaurant and you want to sell more, then you can add, let's say, for $25, you can sell a bottle of wine and a dinner for 2. So that way if you only sell the dinner, you may only sell it for 15. But if you add something else, you can grow the pricing, you can do combos. So review the pricings, make sure that you're billing as much as you can within the range of the market. Number three, and it will show up very soon, is keep your bookkeeping. Keep your numbers correct. Still, I see people that don't have an accounting system. You cannot have a business without an accounting system, period. There is no buts, or maybe I still can do it by hand. I handle with envelopes and receipts. Every business needs to have a bookkeeping system. Why? Because the bookkeeping system allows you to have the right expenses put in the right categories on time. So at the end of every month or every week or every project or every department, you can see, okay, are we making money? Is this profitable? Am I keeping the same level of profit that I did before, or is it dropping? And is it dropping? Why? The only way that you can have these kind of conversations if you have something to look at. Also, this allows you to make business decisions as if you finally have a report and you see that your sales are going down. You kind of know it, but when you have a number, then you can take more better actions with that. So don't save in the money of not having a bookkeeping or do it yourself or do it later. It just doesn't do good for you. Number 4, financial management. So financial management is outside bookkeeping. It is to take the time to sit down, review the financial statements, learn about them, have a budget, compare your actual results with your budget. Talk about the whys. Why is it up? Why is it down? Look at the customer reports. Look at, are we losing any customers that we haven't realized? Check your customers this month versus last month versus last year. Who is new? Who is old? Who is no longer here? So you need to have these, look at these closely so nobody disappears from your company and you haven't realized that they are no longer your clients. Take a look at the budget, and with the budget, try to have realistic assumptions so you can do a good forecast and make business decisions on manpower, on line of credits, on invoicing, on products based on current decision. Keep in mind that bookkeeping is something that tells you about something that happens in the past. It's like driving and looking to the mirror to the back, right? But financial management, you are still sitting in the same driver's seat, but you're looking through the windshield, you're looking forward. So don't look at the past, it's good, but looking towards the future is the key to your success. Point number 5, look at your expenses. Really go over your expenses. See if you need all of them now, if you can push some expenses for later. Make a clear distinctions between the nice to have and the must have. If I don't have these, then the business I will not be able to provide the service. You know, there are some basics. Of course, you need insurance, you need electricity, you need internet, but go over your subscriptions, go over your meals, go over your marketing, go over your entertainment. See if there is some kind of subscription that you can make it basic now, or maybe in the future you go back. Look and see if you have paid for services that you no longer needed and you just forgot about them. And also talk to your vendors and ask for a discount. There's no shame about asking them. Sometimes if you pay them up front, they can give you discount for paying faster, sometimes because you have been a great buyer from them and you have purchased volume, they can give you a discount. So any reduction of expenses will help you with your profit and your cash flow. Number 6, for some of you, you have inventory, and it's going to show up in a little second. Number 6 is manage your inventory. I have seen a storage full of inventory that has not been used and that is not properly taken care of. So if you have raw material and you need this raw material to produce your product and service, you want to use it all. So for example, in the coffee, you have your sugar, you have your water, you have your coffee beans. Make sure that the storage area where you have your products, it's properly conditioned. So if you need AC, if it's properly insulated, that has the proper lighting, that your raw material is properly labeled. I have walked into storage where expensive equipment has been lost because it's on the floor, it was flooded, somebody, it was just not visible and somebody had an accident. Your inventory represents money. So make sure when you look at it, look at dollars, right? Make sure it's in the right shelf. Make sure it's locked properly. Make sure you know what you have so you don't keep buying things that you don't need, and make sure you use it all. If for any reason you have raw material of products that you don't need, you can sell it. And that's another way to make money and to put it back into the company, right? Number 7, manage your assets, lease versus buy. So what is this? So let's say you're in construction, and let's say you are or a sign company, and you need one of these trucks that have a big arm that you need to go up. Not necessarily you need to buy the truck at this time. You may be able to lease it by day. I know that you had an idea that you wanted to buy the truck this year. So you have to make the analysis what is more convenient for you. The same with offices. It may be better. Many of us wanted to buy, the office. You can just lease the space for now. That goes for office space. That goes for equipment. That goes for autos. So make sure before you make a decision of purchasing any of the assets that you make the analysis. What is best for this year for cash flow and for profit? And you are aware and you make the decision based on the result of that analysis. Number 8 is increase your sales. So this is the more you sell, obviously the more money comes into your account. This is a great time to review your marketing campaigns, because I don't want you to just go and cut your marketing budget, because that makes no sense. You need to see if the marketing that you're doing is creating leads for you, is creating the sales for you. It's a great time to review a strategy to say, okay, how much money I invested in this marketing that I'm doing? Is it working right now? Should I switch some of those dollars from this to this? And remember, we're not going to networking events now. So should I put more money in my website? Should I do more of social media campaigns? What are other people doing? Discuss that with your marketing agency, your marketing team. Make sure that whatever you're doing for your product, your company, it's the best for your situation. And sometimes we ask friends and that are in the industry, that everybody has their opinion, but I think you, the CEO, the president of the company, is the one that needs to make that final decision on what works for you and where you're going to get the most for your money and increase sales better. Number 9, train your employees. See, this is a great source of sales. Sometimes we have people in the company that are phenomenal at what they do, But if we get everybody together in a conference room or in a Zoom at this time, and we go over the offering of our company and we refresh the knowledge of what is that we do, what is the product, what is the service, who is the audience, who do we want to sell, how do we sell, how do we offer the product. Each one of our employees have their own network of people and their own families and their own restaurants that they go and their own um, friends and colleagues. So if they are aware that we have a promotion, they will be your marketing. They will exchange this knowledge with other people, and you can create more sales and more traction, not only in for an introduction, but also for an upsell. Sometimes we have a client, and let's say we offered a bookkeeping services or a tax service, let's say a CPA firm, right? And they do taxes, let's just say. But some of the people may not know that they are also a financial advisor, and they help you with your portfolio of investments. So let's make sure that all your employees are fully trained of what you do, the advantages of your products, so they become also part of your selling department, right? And number 10, and I left it for the last because this is one of the biggest areas of concerns, watch your accounts receivables. So remember, we talk about, we produce the product or service, we bill them as soon as we can, we now it's sitting in accounts receivables, and now please don't leave it just sitting there. I want each one of you to have an accounts receivable report every Monday, every week, to know what is pending, what is still sitting there, because if somebody told you that they were going to pay you and then you see it week after week after week, then you need to do something now to get that money rolling and in your bank. So I suggest you go over, if you have a type of company that offer credit limits, I would like you to go back to your system and ask for a credit report and credit limits. So you are not, you evaluate that those credit limits are still valid and you are not overselling to maybe someone that is not paying you fast enough. So this is the risk, that right now that the market is, it's a little bit smaller, you may have a client that may not have the cash. So watch, let's say you have given them $50,000 of credit limit, and you are getting closer to the 50,000, and then you look at accounts receivable and they have not paid you in 60 days. So that's a warning sign from you. Watch the credit limits. Let's see if somebody's getting to the max, I will recommend you also call this client. Maybe they are growing, right? And that's wonderful. But also, not only you need to watch why it's closer to the credit limit, you need to watch how fast they are paying you. And I would recommend you really kind of inquire why they're so close, right? It may be growth and it's great news. So it's good to get paid by checks, and still people drive to other people's and give checks and or cash. But I will recommend you also offer credit cards and electronic payments. Sometimes the comfort or the convenience of just paying with a credit card, you will get payments faster. And even though you have to pay the 3% or whatever the fee is to the credit cards, in many cases because it's convenient, you can get payment faster, right? If you don't want to pay the 3%, you can pay it through Zelle. Chase has that, and many banks have that. So then you get the money immediately. And if it's international, also the international fees are really low right now. And so make sure you get the money moving. And set clear payment terms. If you say that an invoice is due in 1 week, and in 1 week you don't see the payment, please just pick up the phone and call the clients and say this was due in a week. You have to handle that with finesse, but don't let it sit for there for 6 7 weeks, because then your payment terms become really uh, nobody follows them and obsolete. So watch the how the money is coming into your account. Watch your accounts receivable by column. So make sure you have the current 30, 60 days old. And the less that you have in the aging bucket in the right side, the healthier your company is going to be. So make a point that every week you check this report. If you have a department that is working on this, ask why is this very old. There may be a logical explanation, and if needed, get involved, because that's the really the light, the oxygen of your company. And I want to leave all of you with a saying here: never take your eye off your cash flows, because it's the lifeblood of your business. The moment that you run out of cash, you have no company. The number one reason why the companies uh, just have to close is because they couldn't match, they run out of money and they couldn't match the time that the money was going to come in with the time that the money was going to go out. If you're not familiar with cash flow, a part of your financial statements, there is one cash flow report that your CPA or bookkeeper can provide. If you use QuickBooks, it's available in the report section. Just ask them to provide it to you, and there are many tutorials how to read it. If you need help learning how to read it, and if you need help with the analysis and the forecast of the cash flow, that's exactly part of the services that we deliver to our clients. So what happens now? So I want to tell you a little bit about me. STC Consulting is a business and financial management consulting firm that helps improve the profit and productivity of the business. We have service two segments: for corporations and for business owners. And for corporations, as our services as CFO on demand and financial speakings like this. And for smaller companies and business owners and startups, we do financial management, which is kind of what we're doing, like analysis of the profit and loss, the balance sheet, the cash flow, the processes and procedures, just making your company tight and optimizing it. Business consulting, financial modeling for startups, financial training. So if you want to train your staff so they are more aware of the repercussions of the money or what they are doing, or if you want to use the budget as a tool to improve performance, that's another way. And obviously, we also offer bookkeeping services. And for all of you today that participated, I'm offering a 30 minutes complimentary consultation. So if after this you have any questions, you can reach out to me and we can book an appointment so I can help you with your questions. I think. And never forget that financial knowledge gives you freedom. So please, please, please know your numbers. Have the money talk with between the family, with your group of people. And if you have any questions, contact me, and you can follow me in social media. I am in all the main social media. And I think that's it for me. Let me see here.
Great,
Well,
Soledad. I'm back, and this is the time for our Q&A. Again, thank you so much for this informative talk. I think a lot of us, I took a lot of notes, and I'm going to be sharing these with people that I do one-on-ones with. I often heard this saying, it says, business owners are working in the business instead of on the business. And what that means is that they're doing the date, they're doing all the little tasks, but they're not working on the bookkeeping, they're not working on the marketing. And so hiring the right people to do the right thing is so important. And right now, when people have gotten these loans, if they can afford to have a really good bookkeeper, I think that's some of the tips that I'm taking away from you. So how important is to have good bookkeeping and accounting?
It's critical because allows you to analyze what has happened. So remember the analogy I said that when you're driving, you can see to the mirror of the back. So bookkeeping, once you get the reports, then you can compare So let's say you can compare marketing last year versus marketing this year. You can compare employee expenses last year versus this year. So if the expenses are incorrectly assigned, let's say you have a big bucket of business expenses and you see $500,000 in business expenses and now you see $1 million and you want to know why, what happened, why did I go up? And then that's it, that's the last level of detail that you have. Then how can you take actions? So it's not something that we just do so we can pay income tax. That's the of course, it's one of the obligations that we have, right? But that is only half of the cake. The other half of the cake is the bookkeeping is something for you as a CEO, as a business owner to analyze, determine, and move on and make really sound business decisions.
So if you're not an expert in bookkeeping, you should hire someone to help you with that.
Yes.
Good point. Because a lot of folks that got the PPP loans did not have a bookkeeper and were trying to find all the materials in order to do their loan. And so some of them missed out on the first round, but thanks to you and us, we were able to find some people and help. But we got some really good questions here is related to profit and cash. You mentioned that these are both a priority. Is one more important than the other?
Cash, I would say at the end of the day, if you can have a reduced profit and you can continue to operate. But the moment you run out of cash, you need to close your doors. So when you review your numbers and you are in your conference room talking to your whole department, getting an update by department, you have production, you have customer service, you have sales, they're going to give you information about what's happening. But you as the owner need to think, okay, what is the profit of this initiative, of this product and service, and what is the kind of cash that it's going to require? Because if you make 80% profit and it's going to require $100 million and you don't have that cash flow here, or it's going to eat all your working capital, you may want to reconsider that situation for a later time. So always keep both as you are doing the analysis of your executive decisions.
Great. Another good question is, if you did get a loan, a PPP and an idle loan and other loans that you had even before COVID, which loan should you pay first?
Okay, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for asking that question. So I recommend that you use Excel or sticky notes, but you put a list of all the loans that you have, on all the debt that you have, and start with the balance that you have, the interest rate that you have, the payment date, the minimum payment, and you start building this list so you have it right next to your desk. And then you build them, and you're going to realize that in some of them your interest rate, it may be 1%, in some of them might be 3%, and suddenly you go to 9%, 40%, 15%. When you have it all in one piece of paper, the answer comes to you. It's in your face. I'm going to start paying the 15% first, because as soon as I pay that, I'm going to have that amount of money. When I pay to the one of 10%, I can pay faster because it covers more. And also, the government loans, one is a 30 years loan, so I would recommend you stick right now to pay your monthly payment, and then start canceling first all the expensive credit cards and higher interest rate first, and then you go from 20 to 15, for 14 to 10 to 5 to 3 to 0. And look and make sure you take advantage of zero interest rate promotions, because that gives you sometimes 12 months where you can use that interest and pay it into another one and move the cycle faster.
Great answer. So that answers the next question, how do you determine which credit card to pay first? So it's the highest interest rate and the highest amount that's due.
See, I want to add something else. So here, let's say you have 10 credit cards, for a bad example, right? And you have some that your balance is only 200, 300, 500, smaller balances. So I recommend that you pay those smaller balances like out of the way. because there's a psychological effect, and money also has the psychology part. I'm not a psychologist, but if before I said, oh my goodness, I owe 10 credit cards, and then I can say, you know what, I pay 5, I only that had smaller balances, and I only have 5 now, then you feel good, you feel you're progressing, you're moving along, and those 5 that you have there, pay them by the highest first to the lowest.
Good, good. Thank you for that. And then what are some of the common mistakes companies do to not improve their cash flow?
I have seen let's take an example in the medical field of doctors that are scientists and great professionals, but some of them are not business. They're more of a doctor. Thanks God for them, right? And I have seen when I go to companies and they're not processes. So look at the process, just follow step by step. Imagine that all your staff goes and they're no longer here. And you tomorrow have to hire 3 people to do the same that these experienced people were doing before. And now you have to explain them what to do. So follow the process like, okay, once you get the backup, you come here, you do the invoices are mailed the same day. You will be surprised how many huge companies have processes that are broken or lack of processes. When, let's say, checks are received, they sit here for a month before they get deposited. How is that possible? Checks are received and they are not matched with the invoice in the system. So I am still sending invoices to the clients when the money is already here. Follow the process, do a sanity check. Imagine that you have to explain this process to somebody that doesn't belong to your company, and you will figure out that there are opportunities to increase your cash flow. And obviously the 10 tips that I named before, there are more, but these are kind of the basics that mainly help most of the companies.
And then I also heard that some companies are going to ACH payments because of COVID, and people are not coming to the office to manually write checks and manually sign checks. Mm-hmm. And that was one thing that we've learned at the chamber when we were sending out invoices, is that some of the bigger companies, we had to fill out that information. Is that a tip that you're seeing out there, a trend that you're seeing out there?
Yes. Also, remember, even if you're ordering online, most of the things, sometimes they are taking a little longer because so many people are ordering online. The post office also is a little bit delayed sometimes because of where we're leaving. So I highly recommend we move everything to electronic, because even if people are working from home, or the finance department is in another country, or we go through a storm, or we have a hurricane like today in Florida, the money is going to come your way, because that's a way to go. I know some people want to fill the check, and it's wonderful, but for this season, I recommend we all move into electronic.
Great. Another good question is, when contacting customers who owe, you mentioned that needs to be handled very carefully. What are your recommendations for handling a negative conversation with a positive energy?
I think we're all on this together. So there is a human side to all of these, right? We're all trying to keep our companies moving, and but we are humans and family people, but at the same time we have a business to run, and with our business we feed our families and we grow. So I think it needs to be handled with the truth, and I think it needs to be handled with respect and with authenticity. So I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not. I cannot go and have like a abrupt approach that, for example, doesn't work for me. And just let's keep it professional, keep it solution driven in a way that is a win-win. So don't be upset if somebody owes you money and they're telling you they can't. maybe let's think outside the box. Maybe they can not do it right now. Maybe they have something that they can give to you so you can sell it. Maybe they can recommend another client. So keep the ideas flowing, because I think you will win more than if you just shut down the conversation and it goes negative.
Great. And another question is what do you think about giving discounts to customers?
I like that, but you have to measure and calculate that the discount is right. Don't go crazy on discounts. Oh, I give you 50% off. Okay, so in order to give a discount, you have to know what is your profit. So let's go back to the cup of coffee. If you you sell the cup of coffee for $1 and the cost is 50 cents, and you give your client, I know it sounds obvious, a discount of 60 cents, you just gave them all your profit and more. So now you gave it for free and you are paying for him to drink the cup of coffee. So that is where having a good accounting system, you go back prior to the meeting and you said, okay, tell me how much ABC company have purchased. Let's look at the cost of sales of that. Okay, so I have, let's say, 30 cents or 30% that I'm making profit on this, just to put a number. So if he asks for 40%, you can't, because you cannot give this person what you don't have. You can say, for example, well, I can give you a 5% discount if you pay me this Friday, or I can give you a 5% discount if you buy me more product.
Mm-hmm.
Or so you think in a way that is beneficial for them and beneficial for you.
Good answer. Credit card fees. I know you mentioned that as another way to get payment for in faster. But I've seen some services, they have a COVID fee that's added to their services. So one, what do you think about this COVID fee that's being addressed, and when should you implement that? And then secondly, can companies start including the credit card fees into their pricing?
So COVID fee charged by whom? By the banks or by
No, by like salons and restaurants and companies that are open.
So some people have to invest more money into offering the services because they haven't. They have to buy protection material. They have to go through a lot of investment. I particularly have not seen it yet. I heard that they are doing it. I think it's because we all had to invest more money in getting our business open, in wearing masks, in buying buying equipment to protect our employees and our clients. So unless there is a specific reason that you honestly think these people had to go, above and beyond, and much rather buy another product, and I will ask them, I buy you, I wouldn't go for it. I would challenge that if it's just because everybody's doing it, right? We all are going through these, and I think there has to be a very solid reason for that.
Good. Another great question here is, what kind of advice would you give currently to nonprofits, to show up their finances during this challenging time?
Yeah, great question. Nonprofits have the same fiduciary responsibility to have their books online. I'm part of the board of 2 nonprofits, and we have our financial results every month. So number one, the advice is the same for profit and nonprofit. Keep your records clean, organized, and on time. Not because your nonprofit is small, then you wait until December to start building January, and then you go the whole year with nothing in your hand. Also, I have seen that there are loans and grants in multiple organizations for nonprofit. This is where it pays off to have your information, because if you see it, you have your income tax or your e-card file ready. You apply it the same day. You are the first in the line. You may have increased your probabilities to get the loan. That I have seen, I got many calls. I said, I don't have anything to provide. They're asking me for the profit and loss. I don't have it. I don't know where to start. if you're ready, you're going to win. You have a higher probability to be the first in line. And you know, all of these loans, they, after, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the funds are gone. So hurry up, get your books and get the house in order, get it all clean. And now we learned the lesson, and we will never, never, never be behind again in the future.
Good. And this last question, you kind of answered it with that answer, but I just want to ask it one more time so that maybe you can have another answer. So bookkeeping is something small business owners take on themselves due to the cost. At which point should a business owner start looking to pay for a bookkeeper? And then should this be a revenue goal?
So, okay, bookkeeping is a science. It's like that people go to school for, and it has accounting concepts that are not natural with us. We're not born with being good, you know, bookkeepers. You have to go and learn. And I recommend that even if you have a very, very small business, a one-person business, you hire somebody who helps you with the setup. The setup, what is the setup in bookkeeping? There is something called the chart of accounts that has the list of each one of the accounts that go into each one of the financial statements that has a number. So if I know your business, an expert can adapt this chart of accounts, which is a standard in QuickBooks, to your business. So you can see the categories correctly, and we can help you clean that up in such a way that when you go and build, let's say your products and services are preset, your pricing is preset. So you don't want to be standing next to a client and just creating a product right there. You want the invoice out and move on to the next. So I recommend that any business hire somebody that knows what they do, and we do that all the time, to set up the chart of accounts, create the products and services with the pricing, make sure tax or no tax, show you how to set up vendors. This is very important. If you don't set up the vendors correctly, you start going through the whole process. And at the end of the year, you haven't asked anyone for the tax ID number. And now you're responsible to issue the 1099s. So in December, there's this big rush to try. People are like, can you give me the W-9? Some people are no longer here. They're out of business. So do the things at front and hire somebody who's sitting next to you and coach you what you need to do, so you don't have headaches at the end. You only know what you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
That helps you how to produce your invoices, how to apply your payments to the invoices, so they clean out of the accounts receivable report. So just to have the basics. And then I recommend every 3 months, as you're learning, as your business are going, to have a follow-up meeting to learn a little more, so you're not overwhelmed. And you will know that probably after the first year, you go, okay, I need an expert. This is too much. I need to sell. I need to produce. This is not me.
Yes. Great answer. Great answer. And I think that also applies to marketing. Because you don't really want to invest the time to do all of the social media, all of the different searches out there for new customer. So even if it's on a part-time basis or an hourly basis, maybe that's another thing that you contract out so that you can grow from within.
Correct. So if you find yourself on a Sunday putting together all the posts and trying to see how to improve your technical marketing things, but you are you are a great salesperson and you are no outside selling or calling because you're sitting here kind of stuck doing something, think again. Your time has a price. So I recommend that each one of you put a price to your hour, even if you don't pay it. Just say $100, $50, $5, doesn't matter. Just put a price. What you believe a person like you will cost in the market if I were to hire me outside. And then every time you do one of those things that you do because you're the owner and you're doing it on Sunday at 11 p.m. because then see, okay, I spent 4 hours doing legal. marketing, accounting, whatever that IT. I'm terrible with IT. And I spent 5 hours trying to back up my computer when I could have paid for 1 hour for a subject matter expert to come do it while I was at the same time, not only the cost per hour was cheaper, but I stopped not doing the other thing that I would have been much producing much better, producing revenue. So you're cheating yourself both ways. So follow the analysis. How much will it cost me to pay? How many hours it will take me to read Google 200 pages to figure out what to do? And what is the net effects of that? And you're gonna have to call the expert at the end anyway.
I love it. That's that. I have a mental notes of that, and I hope that's a very informational response. So hopefully everyone else is taking notes as well. So we're running out of time, but just in closing, Soledad, is there anything that we've missed that you thought of that we should add, and any words of encouragement that you'd like to add to some of these business owners that are out there watching?
Yes, I would like to say that it's important that we keep educating ourselves. And I thank you, Francis, and the East End Chamber of Commerce for having this space. We all need to learn not only about finance, but marketing and IT and legal. And we know that we'll never stop learning. And the more we learn, the more sometimes we're aware that how much we didn't know and how much a subject matter expert it's worth it. And so talk about money if you need. This is what we do. This is what we do all day long. We can see things in your company on the spot. Well, it will take you months to figure out, or maybe weeks to figure out. We don't have that time. Things are happening right now. So where STC Consulting is here to help you with your financial management needs, to help you improve the profit, the cash, and the profitability of your company. So we're all in this together. Let's keep helping each other. And thank you for the opportunity to be here and talk to your members.
Thank you so much, Soledad. And everyone out there, remember that we've got our East End Strong Facebook group page for you to like and to share your business and how we can support you. And then go to our website for past webinars, for business resources, and also for our Feel Good Friday. We look forward to joining everyone next week, next Tuesday. Thank you so much, Soledad. Have a wonderful week, and stay safe and healthy, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.